All right, so today I'm working on my 2010 Corolla S. It's got a broken dipstick tube. Just kind of flops around, which is not ideal for checking your oil. So I have a new one. It's a Dorman 917-399. I'm gonna see about taking this one off and putting the new one on and see how it goes. It looks like a lot of people just take the alternator off, and that seems like the best way to access that. So I'm gonna get started on that and see how that goes. It looks like the alternator is also the belt tensioner, so we'll just have to loosen that up and see what we get into. This one down below is a 14 millimeter. This one up here, this one back here and up top were 12 millimeters. I'm gonna try to leave all the electrical things connected and just kind of pull it out of the way if possible. All right, that's probably pretty good. I pulled the wire off. It was on that tab right there. And then you can see down there it's attached, but I think that's far enough out of the way. You can see back in there, the top's moving, but the bottom's not. So I'll have to take that bolt out right there, which that gives you a better idea of exactly where that bolt is. And then we'll have to see about how it is pulling it out of the bottom. Yep, it just broke right in half right there. I guess that's the weak point there. From what I understand, I think they're just supposed to wiggle out. So I did some more looking off camera for a minute, looked at it underneath. It looks like you just have to man up and pull it out. So I guess that's what I'm gonna attempt to do. And if I have any tips, I will let you know on how to get this thing out. But so far, it wiggles pretty easy, but you gotta pull up and wiggle at the same time, and we'll see what happens here. All right, I finally got it. Took a lot of wiggling and pulling, probably more wiggling and pulling than you would think. So if you're having trouble with yours, I guess keep wiggling and keep pulling. I got the pliers on there some and used a pry bar to kind of pry it out so it was pulling out straight versus pulling at an angle. It does look like it has a little O-ring on here, which the new one did not come with, and this one looks pretty crappy. So that's a bummer. I have some O-rings. I'll probably just find one as close as I can to size and put it on the new one. So here's what I'm dealing with. That is where it goes. I do want to clean that up a little bit because it's looking a little rough, but if I clean it up, then I feel like it's going to send all the junk into the oil pan, which is not ideal. So I may just have to change the oil after I do this. So I'm not super interested in running all that stuff through the engine, but not super interested in it leaking either. So I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. All right, there it is. Got her all cleaned up. I ended up using this battery terminal cleaner offer. I'm sure that's the right term for it, to clean up the little entrance to the dipstick tube holder. And then I actually ended up spraying brake cleaner on a Q-tip and doing a little extra cleaning down there. So I may have to end up using oil. This ring was a tad bit bigger than the other one. I may have to end up using oil to get it to slide down in there, but I'm gonna try to use some RTV if this is any good. So, okay, I was able to get it blobbed up with RTV. Let's see if I can get it to slide down in there, how all that goes. All right, there it is. I got her done. I wasn't able to get it in there with the RTV on there. I had to put some oil on there. so the O-ring would slide in there and seat. So I got it bolted back on. So what you do is you start it underneath, then you have to run it through these two exhaust ports right here and up, and then you're able to slide it back down into there. And it takes a little wiggling and moving and all that. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it and make sure it's not leaking. I assume hopefully that O-ring will do its job. I'm not super interested in doing this again, although it's not too terrible. So I'm gonna get the alternator back on there and change the oil, and we should be good to go. That feels pretty good. I'm gonna just finish tightening everything else up. You don't wanna completely tighten any of these bolts up until the tensioner is in place where you want it. So these are all 12 millimeters, and then there's one 14 down at the bottom. And that'll do it. I am gonna change the oil, and I may end up replacing this belt. It doesn't look the greatest, and I'm not 100% sure when it was replaced. But now that I know how to do it, it should be super easy. It kicked my butt the first time because I had it routed wrong. I was like, what in the world is going on? But if you just pay attention to how it came off and put it back on the same way, I should have done a better job at that. It's really not hard at all. So hopefully this is helpful to somebody, and you can get your car taken care of if you have this issue. Thanks for watching.